Coming up this week on Montclair News Lab. Vaping. It causes illnesses and deaths. We investigate the dark web for e-cigarettes in a special report.
Honestly, everything's off the black market. Literally everything.
Voice assistants like Alexa and Google Assistant can be pretty convenient. But what's the price we pay?
It's more of them just invading my privacy. I don't care what you're trying to do. You're profiting off of me.
And later, a speaker on campus brings out protesters and the police. We'll look into the controversy.
All in all, I think it was a great experience for our students. They got to see both free speech and freedom of assembly all in one class.
From the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University, this is Montclair News Lab.
Hello and welcome to Montclair News Lab. I'm Grace Rowland along with Carly Henriquez. Each week we scour campus, Montclair, and New Jersey to bring you news and stories we'll be talking about all week. We start today with the growing epidemic of e-cigarettes. They started as a safer alternative to real cigarettes, but as we've seen, that's not the case. And as vaping products become harder to find, people are resorting to the dark web. Our reporter Heather Burzak has our special report.
People don't really care, they just want to get high. You know, they're not really considering what they're getting or where they're getting it from. They'd rather get high than be concerned what's going to happen to them afterwards.
Vaping is trending for teens, but now people are dying, and the Center for Disease Control is trying to find answers. With vape bans surfacing left and right, big tobacco is making a comeback, and uncovered evidence shows the culprit to the epidemic may not be what people think.
I started vaping because I realized smoking cigarettes was not good for me. I smoked cigarettes for 5 years prior to that, and got me into a lot of bad things, and the Juul really helped me stop smoking.
Alan is currently experiencing a relapse in cigarettes from prior vaping laws in New Jersey.
I recently started smoking cigarettes again frequently because it has been so difficult before I turned 21 to get Juul pods.
While the CDC continues to investigate, nurse practitioner Kristen DePite believes banning vape products is a good start in fighting the issue.
Well, certainly not having it available for the kids to access is going to help tremendously. Sometimes kids were using it only 4 to 5 times and they're ending up in respiratory distress in the hospital. They're hospitalized. Some of them are in ICU. So not having the availability is going to make a huge impact, I think, on the kids who are exposed to it.
The latest findings from the CDC say most of the vaping deaths and illnesses aren't even from store products, but from a market not seen in the public eye.
Honestly, everything's off the black market. Literally everything. Weed, THC carts, THC pods, everything's off the black market. All of it is just entirely illegal. You can't just go to a person and be like, where'd you get this from? My drug dealer. Most people get it off the black market anyway, and that's their drug dealer.
Vape cartridges containing THC, the chemical that gets people high in marijuana, is typically used in most of the cases reported to the CDC. Where marijuana is illegal for recreational use, these cartridges are often counterfeit, being homemade and sold on the dark web and the black market.
A lot of times, you buy it thinking it's one thing and it's tainted. It could be tainted with fentanyl, it could be tainted with all kinds of things that are really quite harmful, and the kids might not even consider that. They might not know.
These findings leave smoke shops wondering when their customers are going to return to buy in-store products.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Not much, man. I'm just here to get some vaping.
The ban has actually kind of scared some people away, so you could say we lost half of our customers.
New Jersey has yet to find a solution to prevent future vape-related outbreaks, but Freddie believes legalizing marijuana might be the best bet.
I think it's a great idea, and it's about time they legalize it.
While the investigation is making breakthroughs, law enforcement feel counterfeit THC products are here to stay with the current state legislation on marijuana.
Well, I have to ask the prosecutor on that one, but at the same time, we can definitely...
I do think that it's going to be a problem that we're going to deal with for a while. The availability of vaping, the availability of THC on the market right now is just rampant, and the cost of it is low. So the reality is we're going to see a lot more of it, and I hope that we don't see a lot more tragedies from it, because we are seeing that, not just in New Jersey, but across the nation.
This is Heather Burzak reporting from Montclair, New Jersey.
Heather Burzak joins us now to tell us more about the world of the dark web. Heather, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It was a pleasure to be here.
So, how did you discover what the dark web was?
So actually, one of my coworkers at J. Crew and Wayne, he told me about the dark web on a very slow day in the shop. And I was so intrigued by it because he was telling me about all of this elusive stuff that goes on in terms of crime, theft. So I thought, tell me more. So this was over a series of a few days. He was telling me about all of the mysterious things that go on the web that we don't know about every day.
So what are these mysterious things that go on?
100% of the web we use is broken into 3 categories. 4% of the web we actually use is called the surface web. Google, Bing, whatever search engine you use, social media networks, that's all on the surface. 90% of the actual web is what's called the deep web. Now this is things like WikiLeaks, government documentation, medical records, databases, EBSCO hosts, things that you wouldn't be able to access without a login. And then 6% of the web is actually the dark web. Now, the dark web, that's what has, you can buy a whole bunch of things with elusive currency called Bitcoin. I'm sure you've heard.
Yeah.
It's not traceable. You can't trace your IP address on the dark web. And you actually have to download a separate browser to actually access the dark web.
So anybody can download this browser?
Yeah, anyone can download this browser, anyone can surf the dark web so long as you know what browser you're downloading. Obviously it's illegal to purchase things off of the dark web, but that's a whole nother story. But for my video project, I did actually go on the dark web and I searched and I found all of these crazy things that go on.
What kind of things did you see when you went on there?
So you can buy anything. You can buy, I saw a website where you could buy a hitman, you can buy drugs, any drugs, you can buy anything from marijuana to heroin, and even these THC-infused vape carts that are being homemade. And a lot of these websites even sell THC vape carts that are legal in California, but they ship them to states like New Jersey where it isn't recreationally legal. You can buy identities off of the dark web. There are endless things you can get off of the dark web that obviously you couldn't get legally normally.
Well, thank you so much for letting us all know about this, because wouldn't have known otherwise. Thank you.
It's hard to keep up with technology. We now turn from the dark web to voice assistant devices like Google Assistant and Alexa. They make daily tasks easier, but are we trading off our privacy for convenience? Hey Google, what data are you collecting from me?
Google respects the privacy of your information and doesn't give any government direct access. You can learn.
We know that companies like Google track our responses to collect data, which it then sells to advertisers. But Google claims you benefit from their tracking.
Google collects data to make its services faster, smarter, and more useful to you. To manage or delete your Google activity, go to My Activity.
In July of 2019, more than 1,000 Google Assistant audio recordings were obtained by the Belgian public broadcaster VRT NWS.
Hey Google, goedemorgen. Oké Google, bent u aan het luisteren?
The audio recordings contained sensitive material that led to the release of personal information, including home addresses. All of this violated Google's data security policies. Because of that data breach, Google attempted to tighten up its privacy terms and conditions to be more transparent. Not just in Belgium, but everywhere. Even so, Google Assistant is doing much more listening than we think. Edison Research says 1 in 6 Americans own a voice-activated smart speaker. Google says Google Assistant is now available on more than 400 million devices. Because of these and other data breaches, some consumers are skeptical.
It's more of them just invading my privacy. I don't care what you're trying to do. You're profiting off of me. Profit means so much more to these people, which is so scary.
But other consumers say they rely on smart devices to get them through their days. And that's a worthy trade-off for less privacy.
I don't care a lot about my privacy in that sense. It's because it's already out there It's been out there for years. I'm gonna keep accepting terms and conditions when I download apps and when I sign up for things. Like, I'm just gonna keep on doing it.
Boxian Dawn, an assistant professor in the computer science department at Montclair State University, says Google still collects all that information, but is more transparent about it in its terms and conditions.
If we need it, we need to pay something. That is our data. The second question is, can they only collect data from people who want to give it? They can only collect data from people who accept this agreement, saying that I'm willing to do so.
It is important to know that when you accept the terms and conditions of apps or websites, you are giving them the green light to do what they want with your information. Grace?
The controversy over a Camden tax incentive recently spilled over onto the Montclair State campus. Our cameras were at the School of Communication and Media when an appearance by South Jersey power broker George Norcross brought out protesters and the police. Stephen Vasquez has our story.
A group of protesters gathered outside the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University last Tuesday as New Jersey businessman and Democratic power broker George Norcross spoke to students as part of a political science and law lecture series. Bridget Harrison, a political science professor at Montclair State University who hosted the event, spoke to protesters before the presentation.
Will you be asking him about the FBI investigation?
I will not be asking him about the FBI investigation because the focus of my invitation and what my students are interested in hearing is about political parties.
This came a day after a demonstrator was forcibly removed during a New Jersey State Committee hearing in Trenton, where Norcross was set to defend his state tax break program. Governor Phil Murphy commissioned a special statewide task force which discovered that out of a $1.6 billion tax break meant for capital investment in Camden, $1.1 million allegedly went to Norcross's own insurance company, as well as other business owners with ties to Norcross. Even though Norcross's recent controversies were not the topic of discussion, that did not stop protesters from making their voices heard during the presentation. Professor Harrison believes that this was an excellent learning opportunity for all students in attendance.
The protests were incredibly peaceful. They were very open to hear what we and he had to say. All in all, I think it was a great experience for our students. They got to see both free speech and freedom of assembly all in one class.
For Montclair News Lab, I'm Stephen Vasquez.
Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill will appear on the series December 12th.
Now let's take a look at some upcoming events around campus. If you are looking for a way to de-stress, you can head over to the Student Recreation Center for paddleboard yoga on November 26th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
This is the season of giving back, so what better way to give back than by creating Christmas stockings for children? If you're interested, you can go to the Student Center on December 2nd from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Black Friday is around the corner, but if you don't want to deal with those long lines, shop small Saturday on November 30th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 13 Trinity Place in Montclair. A group of local vendors will be selling unique wares. You will also be able to donate to the Salvation Army. Rick Giancola, better known as Coach G, is Montclair State's head football coach. Jack Bartek, the producer of Red Hawk Spotlight, sat down with Coach G.
This is your 37th year as a head coach here at Montclair State University. Take us back to 1983. How is the program different? How is the campus different? And how have things changed since then?
The campus has changed greatly. The kids keep me coaching. If you ever watch our practice and get in close to hear what they say and talk about, they're having fun and I'm having fun with them. When you win, there's no relaxing, because right away your mind is going on the next game. When I talk to the team after the game, we talk about the success we had, what we did well. Every time we play our next game, that's the most important game. And what are we going to do to win the next game?
To keep up with Red Hawk Spotlight, visit their YouTube channel, Red Hawk Spotlight. New episodes are released every Thursday. Are you ready for the photo of the week? Each week, Professor Thomas Franklin sends us a photo from his photojournalism class. This week's photo comes from Russell Sullivan.
Oh wow, I need to go to New York again.
You know what I wanted to do? You know the helicopter,
that goes around
the city, and then you get the skyline view? Oh,
so beautiful.
Exactly. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Montclair News Lab. Tweet us at MSU News Lab.
Also, visit our website, montclairnewslab.tv, for more.
Thank you for joining us today. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Carly Henriquez.
And I'm Grace Rowland. See you next time.
Wow. Peace.